Hello, everyone. The topic of our group is the effects of real estate tax reforms in China. Real estate price in China increased rapidly in recent years. Average sale price of commercial residential buildings increased from below 2,000 to about 10,000 yuan per square meter in 20 years. Real estate price in first-tier cities increased even more sharply. Especially in Shenzhen, average sale price increased from 5,000 to 56,000 yuan per square meter in 2020, above 10 times. For real estate affordability, we use housing price to income ratio. This ratio above 6 will be viewed as bubble in developed countries. From the chart, this ratio in first-tier cities is 26.6 in 2020, while in other types of cities, the ratio are all above 12. Chinese government put effort to promote the healthy development of the real estate market in recent years. In 2011, Shanghai and Chongqing started to levy real estate tax on a trial basis. For Shanghai, housing price more than 2 times of the average price will be taxed at 0.6%, except the first house of local residents. The tax rate for housing price less than 2 times of the average is 0.4%. For Chongqing, the annual tax rate is 0.5% for villas and apartments priced less than 3 times of average price, and for second house of non-local residents. 1% for those priced 3 to 4 times of average, and 1.2% for those priced more than 4 times of average. In October 2021, the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress decided to pilot real estate tax reforms in certain regions. Since real estate has become the most important asset for most households in China, real estate tax reforms will have great impacts on households, real estate market, and government. So what are the effects of real estate tax reforms in China? How to implement real estate tax reforms? Now let's turn to part 2.
This part is talking about the pros of real estate tax in China. This article have mentioned 2 aspects of pros for real estate tax. For one thing, real estate tax can effectively supplement the source of fiscal revenue. For another thing, real estate tax can help reduce speculation in this industry, curb property bubbles, and revive the rental market. There are also many scholars interested in introduction of the real estate tax in China. There are 4 main streams in this topic. In terms of tax system, real estate tax can help optimize the structure of tax system by supplementing property tax. As for financing, real estate tax can avoid capital flowing into the real estate again and guide it to the real economy. By making good use of the income from the real estate tax, public infrastructure can be further improved and the housing needs of low and middle income group can be satisfied, which can also raise the investments of the public. Through the multiplier effects of the investment level, the microeconomy will also be developed. By studying the views of the academic community, we focus on the positive effects of real estate tax on the government when talking about the pros of real estate tax. It can't be denied that real estate tax do effectively supplement fiscal revenue and optimize fiscal structure. But we can further reach the conclusion that it can also help promote governments to overcome short-sightedness and pay attention to improving the investment environment in order to ensure their long-term returns. Before the introduction of the real estate tax, the land management system is leasehold. Since that governments lack stable bulk tax sources, land leasehold system often leads governments to make achievements by expropriating land at a low price and selling it at a high price, which causes excessive land lease by governments. After the introduction of the real estate tax, the current one-time charge for land transfer will be replaced by annual rent system, and many charges in real estate developments will also be abolished. Instead, they will be levied annually according to the real estate's value assessed regularly during the holding stage, which will help curb the enthusiasm of the governments in selling land. In this way, land wealth will be reasonably distributed to each term of government and each generation. At the same time as the real estate tax becomes a main tax for governments, governments also will be also encouraged to optimize the investment environment, improve the popularity of the area under their justification, and make the real estate appropriate continuously. By doing that, they can also expand their own tax sources so that the property tax revenue and the appreciation of real estates are at the same stage, thus forming a virtuous cycle.
Next, we came to the coins of real estate tax in China. First, we look into the real estate tax experiments in Chongqing and Shanghai. In terms of housing price, Chongqing only tax on villas and apartments, not the ordinary house. Owners of these villas and apartments are less sensitive to the price change, and the tax rate in Chongqing, which is from 0.5% to 1.2%, is not likely to significantly reduce their demand. And Shanghai only tax on newly bought second house after the experiment. Both cities choose not to tax on the first house. And in terms of tax deduction, Chongqing used housing area for deduction with 100 square meters for newly bought apartments, which may lead to abnormal tax avoidance. Next, we took another Asian country, Korea, as example. Korea's real estate tax was implemented in 1990 with progressive tax rate. And in 2005, government converted into comprehensive property tax with higher tax rates. And in 2020, the president announced a comprehensive tax hike. The sheet right shows the current comprehensive property tax rate, and the chart below shows that after each time the raise of the property tax rate, housing price fell, but overall the long-term trend stayed stable. Then we look into the tax hike in 2020. After announcement of property tax rate hike, there was a slight decrease in housing price, but trading volume shrinks sharply, which is shown on the first chart left, the colored part. However, just a couple months after, trading volume hit the second highest all-time high. In the meanwhile, housing price continued going up until the start of 2021. After 2021, even though trading volume contracted to a relatively lower position, but the housing prices, which as the graph shows, not affordable for most people, and haven't shown any signs of decreasing. And based on the analysis above, it's also reasonable to say that some government regulation and administrative intervention may lead to this high housing price with low trading volume, which the actual demand was not reflected. Overall, in terms of controlling housing prices, property tax can only be sufficient in a very short term. And short-term price fluctuation could be caused by market sentiment and administrative intervention. But in the long term, we still think that housing price may depend more on demographic changes in cities, business development, and industrial structure. In terms of being a stable source of tax revenue for local governments, there's still a problem of uneven distribution in different provinces. A central redistribution property tax system is suggested. And then we will come to the part 4.
Where in the previous two parts we mainly discussed the influence of the real estate tax. For China in 2020, the government once again emphasized the legislation of real estate tax. So we will sum up issues that we think should be considered in the legislation of real estate tax in this part. First of all, there are many departments in real estate tax. So where it came for a joint force for the collection system is the key. Tax department is only one of the collection managers. It's difficult to complete the entire operation only by relying on this department. From the approval of land, the determination of land benchmark price, the sale of houses, and other links are managed by different departments, which require the cooperation. Secondly, it will be difficulty to determine the tax objects, tax rate, and tax reduction from the perspective of market. Commercial housing, rental housing, and other four coexist. From the perspective of tax objects, high-grade housing, ordinary housing, and other four coexist. From the perspective of tax rate, the tax rate should not only reflect the fairness, but also bring great pleasure to taxpayers' lives. Finally, how to improve the sharing of information is also the focus. They may be first land use information. The information mastered by the tax department and not shared with the local government and other departments, result in the difficulty of tax collection. In view of this problem, we consider it important to take the following measures. Firstly, a joint working mechanism is necessary. The tax reform requires the efforts of different departments, including finance, taxation, land, and statistics. Secondly, we should have an information sharing mechanisms. Relying on big data to realize information sharing, department can not only provide more convenience, but also reduce cost. Finally, the object and the scope of taxation should be discussed carefully, so the real estate tax can control the real estate price without affect the fairness of income distribution. So that's all of our content. Thank you for listening.